we'll start off in the 50-50. Okay, so Suze is actually, if you're down on your back, what we're going to cover today, guys, what we're going to cover is some leg locks, not only leg locks. The way I like to figure out what techniques are high percentage is not to look at Jiu-Jitsu 101 books, like, oh, grappling 101, white belt technique, A. I like to watch high-level competition and then just see what works and what people win with. Okay, so that tends to be my method and my modus of discerning what functions, what's high percentage, what's low percentage, etc. So the position that we're beginning in right here is referred to as a 50-50. So right now, my leg is through Suze's and wrapped over the outside. His is through and wrapped over the outside as well. Very common leg lock position. It's also very common as a sweep position, particularly in more modern jiu-jitsu. So if Souza comes up on top, this is the only thing I can sweep Brian with anymore these days. Souza comes up on top, okay? Yeah, and he's here. I can use this control of his hips to knock him back over, to set up my leg locks, all kinds of different various attacks that can work from this particular position. We're going to work a very, very fundamental leg lock from this spot, okay? So let me get the clock real quick, Johnny, right? So as I'm here, if I'm here with Souza, normally the submission that we see set up from here is maybe the heel hook. Okay, some of you guys have worked a little bit of leg lock stuff with me. Some of you have been on a foot lock Friday or two. This is the most prevalent leg lock from this position, but we're going to work something slightly different. I'm going to bring my right arm underneath Souza's foot in this particular case, okay? Almost like I'm clamping his foot to my shoulder, if you guys see what I'm doing here. And as I turn off onto my hip, my other hand comes over the top, and I force a bend in his leg and in his foot. And I'm going to stack my hand behind my other wrist. So I was here, I bring this arm underneath, and I want to fold his leg in and really get a vice into my bicep. As I lean in, I get my grip. I want to grab nice and high up on the toes and flex his foot this way, at which point I grab over my own wrist. Okay? And now I'm going to curl in towards Souza. I'm really straining and stretching the outside of his foot. I'm going to be nice to him here. I'm driving in towards Souza, and I'm going to pull his heel towards me and drive his toes towards him. So I'm getting this kind of flexion on his foot to get my submission, okay?
The way my foot doesn't turn.
Yeah. Yeah, and I force my submission from there, okay?
Now, what if somebody's trying to do this to you, though?
We'll get into that stuff, Souza, okay? So we're here in position. Instead of going over the top and working for traditional ankle locks or Achilles stuff, we're going to go for a toe hold from here. Underneath. Get my cup and grip. Notice my pinky is at his pinky toe here. Folding down, locking wrist over wrist, driving down, and giving my submission. Nice and easy. Should be a nice little stretch on the outside of the foot. We're going to be nice to each other, starting easy from the 50-50 position. As I mentioned before, the way I like to determine what high percentage moves are is I watch the best guys in the world. Arguably the best guy in the game right now is a fellow by the name of Marcus Buchecha Almeida, who's the black belt world champion at his own weight and at the absolute weight, which is open weight. Anybody can enter. The really, really big guys, really, really little guys. So he won it last year. Worlds are coming up again. He's like disputed to be the guy that's going to win it. And he's one of the few heavyweight guys that's really starting the trend of doing leg locks. So it's not just like the little crafty guys now. It's kind of everybody. And he's really, really, really good at the toe hold. And the 50-50 is another spot where he's really crafty. I want to talk about some details for loading the pressure on this before I show you another one of his best toe hold setups from more of a knee bar orientation. I got to focus on this one first. As I'm here, all right, I'm in this position with Nick. I've got this in the crook of my bicep here. I've got my legs still locked. As I get this grip on Nick's toes, I really want to do what I call kind of loading, like a cucumber snapping pressure. Anybody ever get a cucumber and just kind of like break it? Susan's like, I've never broken a cucumber in my life. I had no idea what you're talking about. You can break those? Yeah. So anyway, you guys can imagine, okay? You can imagine. Essentially, what I want to do is I want to load the pressure onto Nick's foot. What I don't want to do is get my grips and then start to apply pressure. Like no pressure on his foot at all. Notice no bend, no anything. And then I start to crunch. It's not really going to cut it for me. When this is clamped, I need to fold so that by the time this hand even locks on, I can already see this skin stretch like paper thin. Just really stretch, okay? You're going to be nice to each other, but I have to make the grips work if I'm going to use, if I'm going to be able to use them for the finish. I don't want to have to be here and use muscle and just like ripping stuff. I want my grips to be able to do 90% of the work. So here, look, clamped in the bicep, fold as much of that cucumber pressure as I can get. I would like to tap Nick with just one arm. I'd like to do that. I'm going to be nice to him. Here, lock. The higher the better. If I lock on my own bicep, it's a weak bite. I want to be high up on my own wrist, not even, like I want to be over my own hand if I can help it. Now, as I crunch down, look, crunching down, I need this bend, because if Nick's leg is straight and I rotate his foot, it'll go all the way through to his knee and all the way through to his hip and he'll just turn away. Yeah, I'm not going to tap. I need to keep this bend. Now he can't escape that. The buck has to stop at the ankle or the knee. 90% of the time with most humans, it's going to stop right there. Here, in my position. I crunch in. Again, this pressure has been loaded before I lock on. As I crunch in, I pull the heels towards me. I fold his big toe towards his own knee here. And I get my submission. Very easy, right? The grip should be 90% of the work. Here, by the time this one locks on, submission. Okay, nice and easy. Some people's feet are tougher than others. Pino and Charlie have some pretty tough feet there, but anybody, if you stretch this far enough, for the most part, is going to be tapping quick. Your grips are right. So we're going to work on that first. We'll go into another setup after this. 1, 2, 3.